I'm going to show you two different ways to approach the simplifying a radical expression with two variables. So one method, of course, we've been talking about is making sure that we find that perfect square. So in this case, it's 4 times 5, 4 being that perfect square. And we have to divide the letters by 2. And as you can see here, we can't divide 7 by 2, can we? But what we could do is we can split it. We can have it x to the 6 and another x, because if we added that with the invisible 1, that would get us 7. Okay? And I'm going to just bring this y to the 6 down. So now that we've kind of split this, let's start taking stuff out of the radical. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we're going to take the 2 out. So we took care of that. We're going to divide the 6 by 2. So 6 divided by 2 gets us x to the 3rd. So this is now gone out of the way. And we're going to look at the 6x, or y to the 6 divided by 2. And that's y cubed. Okay, so now that's taken care of. So then we put the radical, and we put whatever's still left underneath. So we've got a 5, and we've also got an x. Okay, so as this is the answer that we're looking for. We need to make sure that as you're typing this in, that you're pressing the right arrow key after each exponent. So like this. I'm trying to put arrows there. So make sure you're pressing the right arrow key so that way they don't all cram up as exponents. So this is one way to approach the problem. Another way, because we're going to start getting into higher roots soon, is we can go ahead and, remember I talked about this being, there being an invisible 2 here? Well, what we could do, as opposed to knowing and memorizing that perfect square chart, is we can start dividing this down. So let's do that. We're going to divide 20 by 2, which gets us 10. We're going to divide 10 by 2, which gets us 5. Okay, so all of these, they can't be simplified any further. Now, with my x's, I'm going to separate them all out. So I'm going to do x, 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 X. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to do the same thing for my Y's. Okay, so when we're taking stuff out, ultimately we're doing it by the root. So basically for every group of 2, we're taking 1 out. So here's a group of 2 2's. Which means we take 1 2 out. We've got 1, 2, 3 groups of x's that come out. We've got 1, 2, 3 groups of y's. Put a radical, and so what's left, as you can see, is we've got the 5 and we've got the x. Okay, either method will work, whichever one you think is the easiest. The only problem with, of course, this method here is that if you get really high exponents, you'd be writing a lot of x's or a lot of y's out. But either one, whichever one's easier for you, feel free to use.